Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the council of November 25th here at the Township Town Hall. I'd like to advise all people to sign the attendance sheet, turn off your cell phones, and please note that the meeting is being audio and video recorded. At this juncture, I'd like us to all rise for the singing of O Canada, at which time, concluding that, Councillor Cody will lead us with the opening petition. O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, a true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
We gather to make decisions for our community. May we use only our best skills and judgment, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral as we consider the merits and pitfalls of each matter that is placed before us, and always act in accordance with what is best for our community and our fellow citizens.
Okay, are there any changes in orders of items on the agenda? Seeing none, Madam Clerk. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary and or conflict of interest? Councillor Trombetta.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, not realizing on the special council meeting on item 8.2 that, talking it and some overthought, I'd like to declare a conflict of interest on this Muzzle appeal due to the fact that he is a neighbor of mine and he has been over many times, and my kids do play with their kids, so it will affect my judgment. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Any other conflicts? Okay. At this time, we have an opportunity for anybody in the public to address items on the agenda. Are there any members of the public that wish to address any items on the agenda under section 6.7 of the procedural bylaw? Seeing none? Yeah. There are no appointments or presentations this evening. Moving right along, we invite Regional Councillor Albert Woodavine to make any remarks that he cares to on behalf of the Regional Council.
Thank you, Mayor and members of Council. Maybe you have to try this without the... There we go. Okay. I was hoping, with the festive bow on it, that was the one that was selected for me this evening. So, again, good evening, Mayor, members of Council and staff, and those will be watching the council meeting this evening, and members of the public. So just a quick overview of some of the committee meetings that I've attended here and thought there'd be of interest to Council here. At Public Works, we had a presentation by Director Carol Ryle on the Vision Zero Road Safety Program. This initiative is initiative throughout from the Transportation Master Plan of the region. So it highlights community safety zones, and this try to modify behavior to improve safety in certain roadways. So usually this has been a prioritized in school zones and applied throughout the region. So just follow up on that. I did have a call from I believe, one of our residents across from Gainsborough School because of the concern of taking off at in Bismarck there and heading towards Font Hill at a kind of a high rate of speed, and just further up the road being the school and also the turning lane. So I brought to the attention of the director that this would be a good area as a school zone to look at, to try to look at ways to try to make it safer for parents, for students at this area. And so anyways, and then also there in this master plan and zero road safety is they're looking at red light and automated speed enforcement, you know, to reduce these collisions and incidents throughout the region. So there is a I guess a flavor to try to use some of that technology to slow people down and to create safety. Second, that morning we had a presentation by to do with on-demand transit here in Niagara on fixed routes, and our presenter weighed in the pros and cons of this service. And in my view, the greater benefits were more for us in rural settings, because this response can be in real time and demand service, which is more cost effective, and basically versus fixed route, which is just a route and a lot of empty bus rides, and you need a special license. So actually it's a consultant named VIA in Canada, Mobility LLC, and these people are demand transit planners and technology providers and operators. So I think this type of system is something that, to me, as an intermunicipal system would work well and connect us to like kind of the greater system, where if there was people that needed transit ride, we'll call it like a Sprinter van or an 8-passenger van would come and pick up those people on demand and bring to a central location so that they could be part of the transit system, versus I'd say a similar system like Lincoln, where it's you know, it's again as a bus it's a fixed route, and if you're away from that fixed route, it's still not a very convenient service. So I'm interested to see how this on-demand service can work for our residents, because we are paying for the Niagara transit system, and I feel that we're not getting. I didn't see the value in supporting GO for us, but this is something that I feel, you know, would work well for our residents to connect us to maybe a main route in Grimsby running Highway 8 to get us to St. Catharines, or to get our citizens to appointments. So thought that was a good presentation, looking at new technologies. So later that day, I attended a public health meeting, and Kevin Smith, he's our director of EMS, updated us on some how their mobile integration health model was performing. So just a highlight on that is basically looking at clinical response plan that was implemented in September, and an emergency communications nurse that was implemented at the same time, and the outcomes have been very positive for quicker response times for those people with that were more critical. And so collectively, for the last 3 quarters of the year, these systems have referred patients over 800 times to other community services, which is really good, because it takes the pressure away from EMS. So and the response time, the sirens, reducing risk, you know, paramedic stress, fire service, you know, response has been reduced, and you know, and of course paramedics have been given their proper breaks so that they can function well and less overtime. So some good initiatives happening here in Niagara on that, by bringing that we'll call it the 911 nurse, so that she can direct calls to the appropriate agencies versus always sending emergency response to that call. So the next day I attend our planning and economic development, and we had a presentation about the Niagara official plan. So there's some high-level changes where Niagara environment mapping implementation, updating woodland layer and watershed planning is required to inform our Niagara official plan. So suggested framework for the watershed plan, including some climate change invasive species like emerald ash borers and Phragmites challenges. So also that the natural environment policy should be science-based. There are public meetings that have happened and that are being held across the region for public input on the change to the official plan. We had a presentation by Vanessa Ackroyd. Most of you would know Vanessa. She talked about the value and the benefits of the Public Realm Investment Program, which was match funding to local municipal partners up to $100,000. So mayors and council are aware of our downtown benefits of this program, the streetscaping and now the parquet, and we were actually featured in the slide deck of West Lincoln, the before and after pictures. So that was nice to see, and it's I think it will make the downtown more friendly for people to come to and to maybe stand around and socialize and have, I guess, do its intended purpose of creating community. And then November, participate in Remembrance Day service at the Legion Hall. We moved inside, and I think the call was because more of our veterans are becoming older and more frail, maybe we, just a suggestion, this is me as a regional council suggesting, maybe we can look at providing some kind of portable shelter, and maybe it has been discussed for that event, because as our seniors are, the people that our veterans are, I think there's very few left, and so to be outside. So I just wanted to that was some of the things that I heard. I just want to bring them up. And on a lighter note, the Niagara North and Niagara South Federation of Agriculture, we met last month at our AGMs, and we've been working towards amalgamation. So both boards unanimously approved amalgamation. So we will, starting January 1st, there will be the Niagara Federation of Agriculture and about 1,500 family farms here in Niagara. So it'll just help us through efficiencies, board members speak with one voice. And last, I wanted to let you know, finally, through a lengthy process, I have been selected to sit on the Niagara Escarpment Commission, representing the Niagara region, starting in the new year. So thank you, and I'm here to entertain any comments or questions from you.
Thank you, Councillor Woodavine. Any comments or questions? Councillor Gannan.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Woodavine, I know that there's been some rumbling and there's been a lot more from the public lately. So when you talked about the Gainsborough School area, it made me think again about the Caister Central School area and the traffic that people have been complaining about on that road as well. I wonder whether that is also on the radar, and if it isn't, it should be perhaps when you're looking at school safety zones. I know that the traffic has really increased on the old Caister Road, which is Regional Road 6, I think, still. And people are, there are more families living along there, and there are still lots of children going there. So there's been lots on social media lately, too, about that road. So just a heads up on that, please.
I will forward that to Director Ryle as a secondary look into safe community zone there, too.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any others? Thank you, Councillor Woodavine. And we'll see you in the new year. At this time, we have...
And I guess I can just say, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, but I will be part of the parade hopefully this weekend. So, but anyways, we'll see you.
We
in
do
the
have
new year.
one council meeting in December yet.
Oh, there is? Yes?
Yeah, yeah. It's on the 24th, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the date.
Okay. Confirmation of minutes. Council minutes regular, October 28th. Councillor Cody, you have that resolution.
I do. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Gannon that the minutes of the October 28th, 2019 regular council meeting be accepted.
Councillors, you've heard the resolution moved by Councillor Cody, seconded by Councillor Gannan. Any comments or questions? Seeing none. All those in favor? And that's carried. Beautiful. Thank you, sir. Okay, and then moving right along, council minutes special, November 13th, and includes the muzzle appeal hearing, and it should be noted that Councilor Trombetta has declared a conflict of interest with respect to that meeting and has provided a written declaration of conflict in this regard. Councilor Ganane, you have that resolution.
I do, thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Cody that the minutes of the November 13th, 2019 special council meeting includes muzzle appeal hearing be accepted.
Councilors, you've heard the resolution moved by Councilor Ganane, seconded by Councilor Cody. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. Yeah, and should be noted that Councilor Trombetta did not partake in the discussion or vote. Council minutes special, November 20, strategic plan workshop number 2. Councilor Jonker, you have that resolution.
Yes, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Ganand, that the minutes of the November 20th, 2019 special council meeting, strategic planning workshop number 2 be accepted.
Councilors, you've heard the resolution moved by Councilor Jonker and seconded by Councilor Ganand. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. We have public meetings under the Planning Act for November 13. Councilor Rayner, you have that resolution.
It's moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Cody that the minutes of the public meetings held on November 13th, 2019 under Section 17 and 34 of the Planning Act with respect to 1, zoning bylaw amendment, Heather Thomason temporary use bylaw file number 1601-016-19, 2, rezoning bylaw amendment, Adele Akers, Ron Vandermeeren, agent, file number 1601-017-19, and 3, official plan and zoning bylaw amendment, Township of West Lincoln, winery, brewery, and special occasions policies and regulations, file numbers 1701-004-19 and 1601-015-19 be accepted.
Thank you, Councilor. You've heard the resolution. Councilors, moved by Councilor Rayner, seconded by Councilor Cody. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We have a road naming public meeting, Sunset Acres. Councilor Riley, you have that resolution.
I do, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Rayner, that the minutes of the public meeting held on November 13th, 2019 with respect to the naming of the street for Sunset Acres, Bosher, be accepted.
Councilors, you've heard the resolution moved by Councilor Riley, seconded by Councilor Rayner. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. Next, we have a public meeting for a site alteration permit. Councilor Trombetta, you have that resolution.
Mr. Mayor, moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Riley that the minutes of the public meeting held on November 13th, 2019 with respect to the extension of the site alteration permit in the name of Vailco Garvik in the of 8244 Silver Street be accepted.
Councilors, you've heard the resolution moved by Councilor Trombetta, seconded by Councilor Riley. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. There are no communications. So at this time, I'd like to enter just a couple brief comments for the record. I spoke briefly before about the Remembrance Day week activities, which culminated in a Vets dinner on the Saturday evening, and I wanted to highlight once again the special guest, which was Legion 393's last surviving veteran of Second World War, Mr. Frank Doyle, and it was a special opportunity to meet him. And I'd like to highlight the ongoing meetings that we have with respect to West Lincoln Memorial Hospital. Another one has been planned, although it was adjusted, but it has found a new location, and it will be discussing further involvement with the municipality. So that's ongoing. So just to let you know that those meetings continue to exist. And I wanted to commend Madam CAO, staff, and council for participating in the Strat workshop last week. These are long, arduous work sessions, but we received lots of input, which was circulated and finessed, and we'll see what the draft proposal that comes forward. So I want to commend staff and particularly Madam CEO, because I know what a challenge those events can be. So those conclude my comments for the month thus far, and we'll see where we are at the next council meeting. Moving on, we have report of committee. Planning, Building, Environmental Committee. Councillor Ganan, you have that resolution.
I do, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Cody that the minutes of the November 13th, 2019 Planning, Building, Environmental Committee meeting be accepted and that the recommendations contained therein be approved with the exception of item, and there are none that I'm aware of.
Councillors, you heard the resolution. Moved by Councillor Ganan, seconded by Councillor Cody. Are there any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. We have Admin, Finance, Fire. Councillor Rayner, you have a resolution there.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Trombetta that the minutes of the Administration Finance Fire Committee meeting held on November 18, 2019 be accepted, and that the recommendations contained therein be approved with the exceptions of items number, and there are none at this time.
Councillors, you've heard the resolution. Moved by Councillor Rayner, seconded by Councillor Trombetta. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. Public Works, Recreation and Arena Committee minutes. Councillor Trombetta, you have a resolution.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, moved by myself. Seconded by Councillor Rayner, that the minutes of Public Work Recreation Committee meeting held on November 18th, 2019 be accepted, and that the recommendations contained therein be approved with the exceptions of, and there are none.
Councillors, you've heard the resolution. Moved by Councillor Trombetta, seconded by Councillor Rayner. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. We have an item, item for reconsideration. This section is for a member of council to introduce a motion to reconsider action taken at this council meeting or previous regular council meeting. Councillor Rayner has provided notice to the clerk that he wishes to reconsider the motion to deny the appeal against a muzzle order issued to Kristen Beelan. Councillor Rayner, you have that resolution. Before you read it, we're gonna separate this. This is not the actual reconsideration. This is to consider the reconsideration. So just so we have some clarity, if we want to open up this debate, the debate will not happen at this time, just a vote to consider the debate. If this vote passes, then we'll consider the debate. So I don't want to convolute the thing or get confused in discussions that aren't appropriate for the motion. So, Councillor Rayner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and second by Councilor Riley, that the motion approved at the November 13, 2019 special council meeting regarding the denial of an appeal submitted by Kristen Bland against a muzzle order issued by the Niagara SPCA and Humane Society for her 2-year-old Doberman dog be reconsidered.
Councilors, you've heard the motion moved by Councilor Rayner, seconded by Councilor Riley. At this time, are there any comments or questions? Councilor Trombetta?
I've got a conflict on this matter, Mr. Mayor, so just so you please note that for your record.
Yep.
I will not be taking part in the
Yep. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? And opposed? And that is again defeated. And Councilor Trombetta did not vote. We have a notice of motion to rescind. And moving on to other business. CAO Bev Hendry, item 14.1, council support for submissions of an application of the Municipal Modernization Program. Madam CAO?
Thank you, Mayor Bilsma. On November 12th, the municipality received notification of a new fund that was available to municipalities to assist with projects that would improve either cost savings, efficiencies, control spiraling costs, etc. It had a very, very short turnaround time. We had to provide a notice of intention to apply last Friday, November 28th. No.
22nd.
What was last Friday?
22nd?
The Friday, yeah, November 22nd. That's correct. And then we had to make an application by December the 6th. So staff were scrambling to figure out, looking at the projects that we were currently within our capital plan and ideas for items that would fit the best. And in consultation with some of our municipal advisors at the ministry, we determined that probably the project that would probably fit this criteria for this application the best would be to have a third-party review and determine the most efficient and most cost-effective requirement of looking at the town's current phone system. It was ready for replacement anyway. We have a voice over
VoIP, yeah.
VoIP system as it is, and we are going to be looking at doing a replacement. So we thought that this would be the best project to put forward. One of the requirements for the application is to have a council resolution in support, which is why we put this forward in the agenda for today, so that we could go forward with that, with our application on December the 6th. We've been encouraged to probably only submit one application. We were looking at a couple others, but this is one that fits the best. And just before you go to the vote, I think I've also been talking to council about our review of some of our business services, and I believe that Pelham is going to be putting forward a project or an application for a project to look at our building and CBO coverage for a number of municipalities, including Wainfleet, Port Colborne, Pelham, and West Lincoln. I will update you as I learn more about that, but that would be an application that would be spearheaded by Pelham. So that latter part was for information only.
Okay. Councilor Cody, you have that resolution?
I do. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Ganan that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of West Lincoln hereby supports the submission of an expression of interest to the Province of Ontario under the Municipal Modernization Program as follows. 1. Request to fund third-party review to determine the most efficient and cost-effective replacement for the township's current phone system, which has already reached end of life. The review must recommend the most efficient solution and outline cost savings that will be realized.
Councilors, you've heard the resolution moved by Councilor Cody, and it was seconded by Councilor Ganan. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. Members of council, you have an opportunity to give remarks. Councillor Cody?
Yeah, I just have something quick, seeing as I won't be at the December meeting. The mayor already touched on it somewhat, but last Wednesday night, most of us on council and many of the members of township staff met for a second marathon meeting to go over our new strategic plan. In total, we spent about 10 hours working with the Boulevard Strategy Group. During these 10 hours, members of council and staff discussed a total of 57 items that were submitted by council staff, local business owners, and residents. And we narrowed those down to about 20 that we would like to see the township council tackle over the next 10 years. And I just wanted to thank Bev for organizing that and guiding us through that. I found it to be a really enjoyable process, and find it kind of special that I'm going to leave my mark on the township for the next 10 years, whether I run again on council or not. So I appreciate it, and I enjoyed the process.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Jonker?
Yeah, I would just like to mention the West Lincoln Chamber of Commerce had their home show on November 16th. I was not able to attend. I had two other things I needed to be at, so I would just like to thank them for doing that again. They do it yearly, and I understand it was well supported and a good day had by all. So hats off for them for doing this again.
And Councillor Ganane?
Thank you. I was there. It was good. So there you go. I think some other people too. Did a bit of shopping that day, though, I must say. Okay, so I have a couple of things. One of the things that I wanted to point out is that the tree lighting that we've been talking about coming is on Wednesday. It's finally arriving. Hopefully the weather holds off. I think the thing that is best about this is that it's a partnership. The township and staff worked really well and found us a tree and planted a live tree, which people are very impressed with, by the way, that we didn't just chop down a big tree somewhere and stick it in. So the fact that we have a tree that will grow over time is well appreciated by members of the public. A partnership between the township, who did all of that, the Kiwanis group, who kind of pulled it all together, the Knights of Columbus, who are going to do the cooking of these hot dogs for us, and as well, the Christian High School choir has been working on some pieces that they will sing for us, and then some sing-along pieces as well. So Wednesday of this week, starting at 6:45, so hopefully people will be there. And the other thing has really more to do with the community. I know a lot of people watched the Grey Cup game. The mayor was talking about it beforehand. And although many people were cheering for the Tiger Cats, we had a local boy, Cody Speller, a good old K-Stir kid that I taught in kindergarten a good many years ago, who was playing on the Grey Cup winning Blue Bomber team. So hats off to the Speller family, who raised a very big but very kind and gentle young man who's a very good football player. So that's it.
Councillor Riley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few things, I guess, throughout this month, trying to see what I've already talked about. I think last meeting I spoke about Jillian's Place on the November 1st, so I won't bother speaking to that. I will mention on November 7th I got to take part, I believe also with Councillor Ganane, with the website focus group, and also RCO Bev, and other people who I apologize if I've forgotten your name. I think this is a very important asset that's going to be part of the township sooner than later. We have a website, but an up-to-date website that's going to be a lot more user-friendly, I guess is probably the best way to put it, and allow information to be a lot more accessible and allow residents to be able to engage easier with the township. So I think that was a very, I left that very inspired, leaving that meeting there and all the stuff that's to come. So I'm looking forward to see when that gets finalized. So that was around the 7th. I won't talk about the strat plan because everybody else kind of covered it. Keep things moving along. I as well as Councillor Ganane and Councillor Jonko, was a part of the West Lincoln, was able to go around on the Saturday there and check out the home show. And there was actually quite a few things that was going on in the community that day. There was, I think, downtown, I don't know if it was planned intentional or not, but there was the boot drive that was right just by, I guess, where the A&W is now, or close to it, near maybe where the new Mars Home development was. There was also stuff going on at the Legion. There's a craft show there going on as well, and baked goods going on there. There's lots going on in the community, and I hope that we can that like, our community seems to really be ramping up with this stuff, and I'm hoping that we can keep that momentum going. And speaking just briefly to like the tree lighting, I think is a fantastic resurrection of an old tradition and bringing back, because not only Kiwanis and Township West Lincoln and Knights of Columbus and everybody working together to create this, but I think we can do more for our community involving everyone, because one thing that we hear is there's not enough to do. And that doesn't necessarily mean we have to go and spend millions of dollars on a facility that an extra facility that requires swimming or whatever. We can bring our community together with other events and organizations. So I hope that keeps moving that way, because I think that's really good. Also mentioned that Councillor Cody and myself, as well as CO, was able to go to the West Lincoln breakfast by the Chamber of Commerce, breakfast just the other week. Oh my goodness, the days slipped. I don't know if it was Wednesday or Thursday. It was early morning. I remember being up. I was like,
That's the problem for you.
it's not, I'm used to being up early, but being out of the house that early, that's the new. So that was really nice. What was very special about that actually was hearing from local business owners, even from the chamber themselves, acknowledge the fact of how grateful they were that councillors and town staff could actually be a part of that, and that they enjoyed working with that, building that relationship with us. I guess they necessarily had in previous terms or leaderships. So I thought that was really nice that they actually took the time to spell that out, because I think that shows that we're making a difference, and they're feeling that, and they're wanting to work with us. And I think, again, that kind of just goes in a circular motion, and everything's going for the right direction there. I'll mention the tree lighting one more time, just for the fact that I know there was some concerns that we might run out of hot dogs. I hope we run out of hot dogs. I really do. I hope we get enough people out there that we run out of hot dogs. So please encourage everyone to come out. I wanted to, let's just see what I have here. Lastly, I'll actually just cut it off there, because I got something else I'll talk about later. I don't want
That'll
this
cut you off there. You
Yeah.
told me to. Go ahead,
Thank you.
Councillor Trombetta. Nothing. Councillor Rayner.
Just want to comment, I believe our Kitchener Center Road referred to the regional sites that used to be using it. The last one was is the township.
I know. Thank you for that.
That's all I have.
Good. Madam Clerk? Madam CAO? I have just 4 things that I want to highlight in the month that lies ahead. First off, our parade is on this Saturday, so I encourage you all to show up for the parade, 4 o'clock. Biggest small town, 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. It's on my calendar. I better show up at 2. Yeah. Biggest small town parade, right? That's how it's billed. Christmas in the village. The second thing is on the 5th is the Township Staff Appreciation Christmas dinner, so I encourage you all to show up, and I'm bringing my wife, just so you know. So hopefully somebody will talk to myself. On Friday the 13th, the Silverdale Turkey Dinner for Community Care will be taking place, and it's a hot ticket. I managed to get one, so I'm pretty excited about that. And on Thursday, the 19th, the Fort Clubhouse has been renovated by none other than Mike Holmes. And there's a big reveal that day, so it's going to be a neat public event. I just want you to save the date. It's in the afternoon, so save the date. That's what I'm putting forward at this time. We will have another council meeting before that where we will be able to talk more about that. All right. Any new items of business? Councillor Riley. I'm gonna let the clerk.
We just this is going to happen differently. I thought I was going to be able to do this in a different order before, so we're just going to give us 1 second here to bring
Can you
this
just
to
do it
this.
as a notice of motion? We'll discuss it in the new year.
No.
Oh, okay.
We won't discuss it.
Oh, okay.
It won't take long. It's not.
Says the guy.
It's not any. I promise. It's not anything controversial. True enough.
I'm trying to break a record here.
I know. I'm sorry.
Once we get started on that.
This is not anything.
Anyways, when the clerk is ready. Hey, you two.
Last time we went for a month, they asked us, can you guys do the work that you did for a month? They did, yeah, so we anticipate doing this all the time.
He looks this way. Okay. Councilor Riley, you have a resolution there?
One side, I just need a seconder here.
Yeah.
So moved by myself, second by Councillor Trombetta, that a new item of business be introduced, being with respect to bylaw number 2011-44, being a bylaw for the licensing, control, and regulation of dogs.
Okay, moved by Councilor Riley, seconded by Councilor Trombetta. I'm assuming this will become clear.
And this one here.
Yeah, any, so, okay, right, so we're gonna introduce a new item of business. Just understand, at this point, all we're doing is to entertain a new item of business. All clear on that? Any comments or questions on that? All in favor? And opposed? And that's carried.
All right, so I'll start, so moved by myself, second by Councilor Rayner, that bylaw number 2011-44, being a bylaw for licensing, control, and regulation of dogs, be referred to staff to investigate if any changes or updates are needed to the bylaw and report back to a future committee council meeting.
Councilors, you've heard the resolution moved by Councilor Riley, seconded by Councilor Rayner. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Want to speak to it? Sorry. I guess-
Oh,
Let me
yeah, I
speak.
asked, are there any comments or
No,
questions?
no, but like you look to the right there, so then,
I did, and I looked to the left.
all right,
Okay.
my apologies, Mr. Mayor.
Go.
Okay.
Councilor Riley.
So, just to give a little bit of clarification here, that current bylaw there that's being used is from 2011. And so when I spoke to the Director of Planning, there's a little bit of questionable areas as far as the verbiage. And so we were just wondering, or some more myself wondering, if there's a way that staff could look into seeing what other municipalities are using to ensure that it is still being measured by the same, I guess, platform that other municipalities are using when they're going through. This is not necessarily going to, I guess, guarantee that there'll be a change. It's just, I know there's just, for example, one thing that stuck out to me is under section 7, it defines as far as chasing and biting, attacking animals. It goes into addressing a domestic animal, and then comma, bird, comma, and it continues. And so the question then becomes, is it a domestic bird? Is it a bird that a person owns, or is it birds in general? So when I was talking to the Director of Planning, he was in agreement that maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing to refer back to staff to look into, and there'd be no immediate rush on this. This is just something that we could look into to ensure that it is a solid piece of document that we can use policing this in the future.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, question, Madam CEO?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Bilsman, to Councillor Riley. One of the things that I was thinking about today is that even through our council orientation, we never had a presentation from Animal Services, or the SPCA, and I'm wondering whether or not it would be worthy for them to come and make a presentation, because they're the ones who actually do the implementation and the application of our bylaw, and they actually do a lot of the research, and they provide the services for a number of other municipalities as well. So that might be our first response back, is to have them come in, and you could even ask them questions about those sorts of items. Because it's not, I think they helped us in the drafting of that originally, and they continue to do the implementation of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. I think that the biggest thing is obviously over the last almost decade there would have been more studies and reports, and they've probably updated stuff on their own behalf. So again, This is a matter, even I forget her name there, Officer Webb, I think, or Weber, had mentioned the fact that she kept emphasizing on what our bylaw says. And it to me, it kind of felt like maybe it was a little bit outdated, so maybe this is a good chance for us to create that dialogue to ensure that we're consistent with other municipalities. So, again, I don't think that's a bad first step.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Well, I was looking right at him, and he didn't hold up his hand.
It was like a perfectly timed, you looked away.
He's psyching me out. Counselor Cody, go ahead.
Yeah, my only concern is that our staff is already very bogged down and very busy, and they already have more on their plates than they know what to do with, so to address something that's not a problem is an unnecessary addition to their current workload.
Well, I'm gonna take it that the CAO's recommendation to first engage the people who are responsible for it would be a great start. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Ganand?
I think I'd just like to know, Mr. Mayor, if that's going to be part of the resolution, because if it isn't, then it will automatically be sent to staff and we won't go the extra step.
We need to turn this resolution down and pass a new resolution to add that.
Or a friendly amendment to the resolution. Yeah, it could be a friendly amendment to the resolution, but I think we need to have that clear, that staff are not on the hook to suddenly come up with something, but we'll look further into it.
Okay, and I'm going to advise Councillor Ganand to take a swig of water so she can do bylaws. They're not as... No, I know. I'm just kidding. I always make a big deal about it, but they're so tame there. I know. Trust me. Yeah. No. I'll read it again, and then I'll ask Councillor Rayner if he still will second. Yes, I will. All right. Okay. Listen carefully. That Niagara SPCA be invited to a future committee council meeting to discuss if any changes, updates should be considered to bylaw number 2011-44 being a bylaw for the licensing, control, and regulation of dogs. All right. And Councillor Rayner, you seconded it the first time. You're still in agreement with at least seconding it? Yes. Yeah. All at this point I'm asking you to do is, would you consider seconding this, because your name is already on here? Okay. Any other comments or questions on this? All those in favor? And opposed? And that's carried. Great. Thank you very much for your cooperation, folks. We have bylaws. Councillor Ganand, you have the bylaw motion, resolution.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Cody that leave be granted to introduce bylaws number 2019-109, 2019-110, 2019-111, 2019-112, 2019-113, 2019-114, 2019-115, and that the same shall be considered to have been read a first, second, and third time with one reading, and are hereby adopted, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign and affix the corporate seal thereto, any rule of this council to the contrary notwithstanding.
Councillors, you've heard the resolution moved by Councillor Ganand and seconded by Councillor Cody. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? And opposed? And that's carried. There are no confidential matters, so I declare this meeting adjourned at the hour of 7:49. I really couldn't tell you.